But AI is not the only thing. AI is a part of the game. When we talk about like big systems, AI is just part of it, it's not the whole system. So we still need other parts of the system to work together with AI and build a scalable solution for us.
What do you say, like, where people have been lately, like, and I said lately in the last couple of years, feeling like the tech companies have done just layoffs and they're afraid that the stability that they would get before in tech companies might not be there anymore.
Also created job opportunities for people. So it would be economic advancements. AI will make us smarter, will make us more efficient, it will make us get more things done. So as a result of that, we'll see our economy improving and people transitioning from, old topics to learning new things.
All right, welcome back to this episode of the How to Get a Job podcast. Today, we're going to be talking about the future of AI in Silicon Valley, and we have an amazing guest here today, Naz DELAM. Naz is a LinkedIn top leadership voice, engineer leader, keynote speaker, leadership and career coach, and investor. Naz, welcome to the show. How are you?
Thank you so much, Daniel, to have me today. Pretty excited. I'm pretty good. It's a really nice Thursday afternoon here. I'm based in San Jose right now. Very sunny, warm day here in the Bay Area. And very excited to have this chat and talk about, the hype topic, AI and the future.
Oh, amazing. So I have heavily been impacted in my career coaching business with a lot of the changes that's been happening in Silicon Valley and tech. And I'll say this because most of my job seeker clients are international STEM students. And the majority of them were getting jobs at the big tech companies, right? So like the Google, the Amazons, the Microsofts, Apples of the world, right? And a lot of them went through massive layoffs in the last couple of years, right? A lot of them were replacing some of those jobs either at different, outsourcing them to different countries, still within the company, but maybe hiring them back in India or in different countries, or they were replaced by AI. So that was obviously massively impacting. But we'll love your thoughts, kind of like how have you seen AI affect tech jobs and just also the future AI, especially in Silicon Valley, where a lot of these companies are headquartered.
Yeah. Top of my mind thoughts. I mean, with any new technological advancements, there is a little bit of frustration, fear going on. I mean, it should remind people of like the last like big changes we had in technologies, like when cars were introduced, like back in the day, right in
Yeah.
1980s, and people were like, oh my god, we're gonna lose all the like horseback riders and drivers. Like they were like panicking, like we're gonna lose our horsing businesses right now, and we're gonna go out of job. But over time people transitioned and to the new technology, and they turned into be drivers and mechanics. So I would think like with any role loss there will be new roles emerging, for sure, with AI. And I mean, that's top of my mind, and that's what we see with like emerge of internet. That also created job opportunities for people. So it would be economic advancements. AI will make us smarter, will make us more efficient, it will make us get more things done. So as a result of that, we'll see our economy improving and people transitioning from old topics to learning new things in the field. And then more specifically in tech, I do not think that AI will like replace developers, at least in like next 10 years. We don't see such a capability of AI. We still need developers and people who observe the code. We still need people in the process, and I do believe it's going to be more valuable actually to have people. The more AI we have around us, the more AI advancement, the authenticity is going to be more valuable, and people's voice going to be more valuable.
Now, it's like the CEO of NVIDIA said, AI won't replace your job. People that know how to use AI will replace your job. How do you feel about that statement?
That's very true. I mean, with any new technological advancement, right? It is important to get on the train, right? This is where we are going as a society, as a tech society, let's say, and learn it and take it to your advantage. It's similar to the example I had, right? So if cars is a new invention, just become a mechanic. Then you have your career boost. Just leverage the new technology to your advantage and see how you can make yourself go further, even in your current role with AI. So yeah, I absolutely believe that, and he's an amazing person, by the way.
I would, love for us to talk a little bit more about how would you suggest people start thinking through their career. So, like, okay, like we have to embrace the technology. Like, okay, AI is not going anywhere. If anything, it's going to become more and more widely used. But if I am someone that's maybe graduating college and early in my career, what would you be your advice as I am entering this? Like, is there something that I should be like asking my company for extra training? Is this something I should be doing on nights and weekends? How should I be thinking through this in your perspective?
That's a great question. First of all, don't jump on everything AI. Like we still have like a lot of different things. You know that actually the outage we had recently with CrowdStrike, we did see how important it is to maintain infrastructure. And we still have a code to maintain. Like everyone is so focused on AI. All the new interns I see, they want to get a role in AI. But AI is not the only thing. AI is a part of the game. When we talk about like big systems, AI is just part of it, it's not the whole system. So we still need other parts of the system to work together with AI and build a scalable solution for us. So that's number one. You don't have to necessarily get an AI role. You can get any role and get yourself onboarded and learn all of these technologies. But I would advise people to get a course, learn what AI is, because AI is backend engineering, and people think AI is something different. It's not. It's just backend engineering. With the current state we are in, yes, 10 years ago, AI used to be you need to know statistics, you need to be very familiar with machine learning languages and like machine learning algorithms. Right now, everything is available. You can build an AI solution in 5 lines of code. So for you to learn AI, you just need to learn the backend. And I think the part that comes with it is like how data flows and how these data intensive applications really work at a scale. So if you start any part of this application, it's okay. If you start at the back end, you will still exposed to projects with AI. If you're a front end, you'll still get exposed to projects with AI because AI is integral part of our systems right now. And if you see any large application, that's a part that's within it. So for you, if you're starting your career, you don't have to necessarily get a machine learning engineer role to learn AI. Just a start in any place and then have a plan to expand your knowledge over time and learn all of these parts of system, not only the AI side.
Very interesting. How do you think, like, how do you think AI is affecting Silicon Valley and their way that they hire level entry employees?
It's an interesting question. And there are multiple ways that this effect I'm seeing it's coming in hiring. In old days of Silicon Valley, before this year, AI teams were very isolated, right? We had like an AI organization and we had the rest of engineering organization, and they were very separate. AI organization hire for themselves, engineer organization hire for themselves. What I'm seeing right now in Silicon Valley and all of these companies is the marriage of this organization into one engineer. So in old days, we have like front end engineers, back end engineers, I don't know, designers
Mhm.
in one team. We call it like full stack teams. Now expect to see AI engineers working on this team with you. Now expect to see more closer collaborations with those engineers and expect yourself to actually be able to pick up these things. So there is no hard boundaries anymore. And as I said, like AI is not something very different. It's just back end engineering, and really, with all the advancements we made with libraries and frameworks, we're not reinventing the wheel from the scratch. It's there. So for hiring is basically you're hiring someone who is a strong in foundations of things of coding. And if you're strong at foundation of coding, you can definitely pick up these things also on a team. I am personally looking to someone who has also high flexibility and aptitude in learning, because there's no lines anymore like you should be a backend engineer, you should be a front end engineer. You kind of should learn everything, and like delve into different areas of a system based on the need. You see all of these hiring freezes, you see all of these companies like try not to hire a lot of people and just be really, really, aware of the cost. That means engineers need to go above and beyond into different platforms. So there's no specific lines in like I'm hiring someone expecting this person to be only the backend or only the client. I'm actually encouraging the team to actually pick up different platforms at the same time.
Yeah. Interesting. I would love to like kind of like pivot the conversation a little bit more about hiring, like big tech companies hiring. So during COVID, they hired a lot. You see like a massive hiring by all major tech companies. And then that kind of like maybe overhired. And then when things kind of got a little bit back to normal, they did a lot. They've been doing a lot of layoffs the last couple of years. And during the COVID, it just noticed like a lot of those roles were being remote, and they were hiring people from not just from California or even from Silicon Valley, but they were open to hiring people from around the country or even maybe around the world, right? Now that things is kind of like going back to more to normal, do you perceive remote work in the big Silicon Valley to be continue, or do you see this back to office becoming more norm?
The latter, definitely, at least in Silicon Valley. You saw Meta's memo on back to office last year, which was shared, that they saw like employees who got hired um, remotely had like less productivity and they
Mhm.
were less engaged. I did see these examples on my own teams where like employees who were hired remotely, they felt isolated. I had these discussions with people in my team, and some of them moved to locations that we had offices, although we weren't back to office yet. So depends on what type of a person you are. If you're a type of a person that love to interact with people, this is not going to work for you, right? You're going to feel isolated. COVID was a special case
Yeah.
because when we all went remote, we all knew each other. We all met in person. The connections were already built between teams, and suddenly COVID hit and said, okay, I'll work remote. But we had the trust already. We knew
Mhm.
each other in personal level because we were in office together for years. But after COVID, all the people who I've hired remotely, they never get a chance to do any interactions with the team. And that actually makes them feel isolated, a lot of people. I do foresee and I do see right now, like if you look at like top companies like Meta, Google, Microsoft, LinkedIn, like Nvidia, they are back to office, right, multiple times of the week, and they're encouraging everyone to come back. I was looking at levels.fyi, number of open roles remote dropped significantly. You do see more smaller companies have remote roles right now rather than large companies. I was looking at like big companies roles. I do not see any remote eligible roles, and unless they're like very top level role that like this very scarce in the skills and they have to hire someone remotely. So we do see the trend going back to before COVID, in terms of the remote work.
What do you say, like, where people have been lately, like, and I said lately in the last couple of years, feeling like the tech companies have done just layoffs and they're afraid that the stability that they would get before in tech companies might not be there anymore? Do you think that was just because of the circumstances of COVID, or do you see those like mass hiring and then mass layoffs happening in COVID as the new norm?
It's the economy
Yeah,
pattern. I was
yeah.
reading this book yesterday called The Psychology of Money. I think it's a very famous book.
Oh, I love that book. Yeah,
Um, and it was having a graph of like all the economic downturns, and then it was talking about all the layoffs. I think the layoffs we saw in the last economic downturn was way worse than
yeah,
what
yeah,
we're seeing right now. Um, I'm saying layoffs is part of the job. If you're working for a corporate, there's no guarantee. You can
yeah.
say goodbye at any time, and they can let you go at any time for any specific reason. We did see layoff before COVID. It was there. It wasn't at this stage, this large, but it was there. It was companies going out of business, laying off people. It happens all the time. And that shouldn't really disinterest you from joining or scare you from joining. That actually be part of your plan. That should be a plan B. You should always have it in your mind that there's a chance you get laid off. And I got laid off actually. When I work at Netflix, I got laid off. And it taught me a lot of things. Like, do you have backup plans? Are you financially bound to your day to day job? Do you have passive income, to support yourself and give yourself enough time? Or is your career so much bound to a company? We shouldn't be. It should be bound to you as a person and your growth, not to a specific company. So if you are a great engineer and you get laid off for many reasons, a lot of times not you
Hmm.
specifically, you will be a great engineer somewhere else and you will bring that skills to another company and they will leverage from your skills. So you should more look at your career as your growth and the values you can provide to different businesses than like, I'm going to stay with this company. Why I got laid off? I wanted to work there for 5 more years. I love this company so much. I would say this mindset of loving a company should go into what values I could bring in as a professional and drive business.
Yeah.
And this is a contract. Business is a contract and it ends. It's fine. You move to a different place.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think like it just seemed like the big tech companies were not usually part of that, like the ups and downs of that economy cycle, because they were just always growing, right? Because they were like growing. But I think a lot of them have gone to the like more of the maturity level. They're still growing a lot, right? But like now they're feeling it where like the growth, like now they're feeling the seasonality as much. But let me ask you a question. Like, what would you say? So like there's obviously more than 10 tech companies in Silicon Valley. You know, we can name like what the Magnificent Seven or how Mag or Fang or however they're calling it at the particular time, right? But there's obviously hundreds, if not probably thousands, if not tens of thousands of smaller tech companies in Silicon Valley, but they're not maybe as top of mind for job seekers. What's been your experience in the differences or like the strategies or even thinking through applying for only big companies or smaller companies, or how should you look at that aspect of it?
Yeah. I mean, I'm working as a career coach with a lot of people and they interview with a lot of different companies. So I get to see the insight of their interviews and what are they looking for, big companies or smaller companies. And what I see right now with the current job market, even as smaller companies are looking for someone to be in the location, at least with the ones that I'm seeing people getting offer around me. Most of them, they're looking for someone in the location. The ones that looking for people who are remote, the compensation is very low. So it really doesn't make sense for someone in the Bay Area going remote with a small company because they're not getting paid as much.
Mm,
So that's a trend I'm seeing around me. Like my mentees had multiple offers from like a smaller companies, earliest stage of startups to like latest stage of startups in the Silicon Valley. So that trend is happening. In terms of a skill set, I wouldn't call it a lot difference in terms of your technical skill set. Smaller companies are still very competitive because of job market. A lot of applicants. They still want people to be strong at what they're offering on their resume. It's harder right now to get your resume picked. Well, one of the major differences I see in the big companies, you said like the Magnificent Seven, between the smaller companies, is that the amount of attention goes into your soft skills. It definitely goes more attention into your softer skill as you're interviewing for a larger company versus you're interviewing for a smaller company. Smaller companies have more attention on your technical skills because they want you to come in and they want you to build and ship. They're not at a stage of a lot of cross-functional teams and collaborations and customer speakings. They're not at that stage yet. They just want to release and deliver. So they want someone come in and understand the technical stack and then they just deliver. Versus you work on a later stage of startup or big company, they want you to be technically great, but also very great at communicating and collaborating with people. People should feel good working with you.
yeah.
They don't want to see an ego. They want you to be clear and precise and succinct in your communication in an interview. So if you round something so much, it's not a good sign in an interview. It needs to be very to the point and clear. That I evaluate candidates on those stuff too. Like if these candidates come in, my teams work with so many different teams, so many different partners. This person needs to be able to do great in terms of cross-functional collaboration,
Yeah.
working with different people, working with people who are hard to work with, working with people who have different perspective than them, and driving the project forward. That's the main thing I'm looking at someone A lot of times I'm willing to go less on technical and get someone who has like higher degree of cross-functional partnership and soft skills, because technical things can be learned on the job also, versus like these things, if you get someone who is not able to drive results, then that's not something learnable and the impact is higher.
You've been a software engineering manager for two massively like very competitive companies, right? What advice do you have for job seekers to stand out in front of their managers inside of the tech industry?
Just come in with your strong foods. Like a lot of people like have a ton of stuff on their resume. Like I see like five different languages. Like what is your strong food? Because now it's not a time to go, these are all the things I know and this is my resume. This is the time to say, this is what I'm expert at and this is the value I can bring into your team. The resume should say that, instead of saying this is the everything I worked on regarding tech, all my projects, all languages. My advice is really think about what are you strong at and put that on your resume and really showcase that in an interview, and tailor your strength or connect your strength to the roles. So if you're strong at Java and like multi-threaded programming, don't apply for a JavaScript role. You're not going to get picked, right? Just don't go for anything. I think right now what's important in tech is quality than quantity of things you're applying. So that's number one. Number two is reach out to people, build your network. And I always say build a network before you need your network. Because when you need your network and building network at the same time, a lot of times it's not going to work. Build those connections on LinkedIn, on social platforms, build your professional brand, even as a new grad. What's your passion? Talk about it. It's an amazing opportunity on all of these spaces we have right now. 10 years ago, I mean, 15 years ago when I graduated, there was nothing like that. I can go and talk about my passion. Now it's an amazing opportunity for you to talk about your passion and showcase that and build your personal brand and connect with like minded people and build that network for yourself.
Absolutely. What advice would you have for anybody that doesn't live in San Francisco or Silicon Valley but wants to has a dream of breaking into tech in Silicon Valley?
Just apply to the roles in Silicon Valley, I guess, if you want to move here. What I would say, really, if you're not even working in a tech company in Silicon Valley, is okay. New York, a lot of companies of Silicon Valley have branches in other locations. So New York has been a tech hub. You know, Texas nowadays is a tech hub. You'll see a lot of tech hubs happening and popping up. It's not about a location. Again, it's not about a company. It's not about a location. It's about you and your growth. Where do you grow and where do you see yourself learning? And that's the most important thing. It may not be the Silicon Valley for you. You may go to a company which is somewhere else, but you gain a skills so much and become valuable. So it shouldn't be really location. It shouldn't be really company. Silicon Valley is amazing. I mean, to be in because you see a lot of like-minded people. There's a lot of events again happening. You can come and visit, but if you're even working outside, that's totally fine. That doesn't mean that you're not growing.
Yeah, love it. Now, last question. If people listening to this love getting like your thoughts on this and want to learn more about the services or even to learn more about you, can you tell us a little bit more about the career coaching that you do and how they can connect with you and learn more about what you do?
Yeah, absolutely. So that's my ikigai. Definitely is something that I really enjoy in my is empowering people and just having some sort of an impact in someone else's career. And I've been doing this professionally for many years, and I this is something that gives me purpose in my day-to-day life. Just seeing someone get a job offer and like messaging me and say, thank you for helping me, or all your advices were so great, or even someone told me just you listening to me, this enabled this for me. I just needed someone to listen. I just need an ear. Sometimes there is nothing I can provide, but just being an ear for somebody and just be there for someone in their hard situations when they get laid off or when they have going through stuff in their career journey. So that's something I'm really inspired about and love to hear everyone's stories. So if you want to hear, if you want to talk to somebody, you can find my service page on my LinkedIn, or go to nas.dev, which is my personal profile, and then go there and find my career coaching. Just ping me, shoot me a message on LinkedIn. I'm very receptive to all the messages I reach, and then I will just voice back to all your questions, even you don't have to like professionally go through a mentorship. So if you have anything, just shoot me a message on LinkedIn, and yeah, I would love to learn about everybody and connect with you all.
Amazing. Nas, thank you so much for doing this. This has been an amazing episode. If you are listening to this, we'll put in the show notes a link to Nas's LinkedIn account. And if you enjoyed it, don't forget to like and subscribe and share with a friend. Thank you all for listening, Nas. Thank you again, and catch you guys on the next episode.
Thank you, Danielle. Nice talking to you.